Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Thriving Online Retailer podcast, coming to you from Denver, Colorado. Hanging out here with Jeremiah from Muse Minded, who's in a very different part of the country. Jeremiah, where are you from?
Yeah, down here just outside New Orleans, Louisiana.
Are you in the swamp?
Um, yeah, sometimes I got my big white boots and alligator overalls. It goes.
Well, thanks for taking the time today. And for those that don't know Jeremiah, he's the founder of Muse Minded, a accounting and bookkeeping firm that specializes in Amazon sellers. And his passion is helping Amazon sellers leverage their financial data in their business to help them scale and grow profitably and eventually exit. So let's get to it. Our podcast today is how Amazon sellers can level up their bookkeeping, and we're going to do that in just 8 minutes today. So I'm going to start my timer. And Jeremiah, let's just start off with the first question. Who's your ideal client?
It's really simple. We specialize and exclusively work with FBA-centric businesses with U.S. owners. So folks who have multiple sales channels, that's fine. Even Amazon International. It's just like our bread and butter is working with online businesses where the bulk of their inventory
Mhm.
is FBA managed.
Awesome. And what is the problem that you guys solve?
Yeah, so basically we help sellers get a solid bookkeeping system, rhythm in place, and then we handle year-end tax returns. That's kind of stage, I guess that's our current evolution. In the future, going into 2019, what we're looking to build is sort of a coaching and advising program. I'm basically helping install like the top core principles of sound financial management for Amazon sellers.
I can imagine that a lot of Amazon sellers don't have their bookkeeping in order because, as a business owner who likes spending time on doing stuff like that. So, what are some typical symptoms that people experience as it pertains to bookkeeping that you run into?
Yeah. So, there's really three types of people that we run across. The first are the folks that don't do it. So I think a big symptom of that is, procrastination, it's
Hmm.
anxiety, there's fear, it's a little bit of, then they see their numbers and books as like a little bit of a Pandora's box, and they're worried about opening it because they don't want to know what terrible monsters there are inside of their accounting reporting.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the worst symptom of that is ignorance, just like not knowing what to do. And as a result, they're not making data-backed decisions. They're making like gut feel decisions. So I think that's one of the bigger ones that we see. Then we have folks that do their bookkeeping, do their accounting, but don't do it right. And so then with those folks, they're getting bad data. They're making poor decisions because they're working with bad data. And then, I'm not a fear monger, but then, there is undoubtedly people that end up running into penalties and different things because they just simply did their accounting wrong. But I think the last one is the folks that end up they do take care of it themselves and they do it right, but it takes a really long time. So a lot of Amazon sellers run through, they're very much do-it-yourselfers. And I think for this group of people, unfortunately, by focusing on trying to save a buck, they end up taking themselves away from those, I guess, growth activities,
Right.
launching new products, optimizing existing products, and the end result, I guess, is they end up stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. That old kind of catchphrase. So yeah, I think those are some of the typical symptoms from emotional to just poor decision making or lost money.
Yeah, so you mentioned a few of the things like penalties, which are never good, and trust me, I know the feeling, especially about Pandora's box. What you don't know can't hurt you, right? But what are some common mistakes that people make when they're trying to handle bookkeeping themselves that might bite them in the rear, months or years down the road?
Yeah, there's when the people come to us, there's really four main issues that kind of have to get addressed. I think one of the common mistakes is people don't address their mindset. So what a lot of accountants are just even people themselves, they don't realize they're bringing negative mindsets to their finances. Like they there's a lot of negative self-talk around, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a numbers person, I just don't get it. And so they end up like checking out of that area of their business, or they say, I'll take care of that one day when I can hire someone good. And I think so a common mistake is people not addressing their mindset early and just sort of taking responsibility for this corner of your business and saying, you know what, not about, it's not something that needs to be innate, something I can learn and get better at. The second thing I think is people put the wrong automation in place. Sometimes they put too little automation in place, and then sometimes they put too much, and they end up over automating, and it actually ends up costing more money, more time, because they get they just, yeah, their systems are way too advanced for their needs. I think a third common problem I see is owners end up putting the wrong people in the wrong seats. So a lot of times the biggest one of that is the owner puts himself in the seat of a bookkeeper or an accountant when that should be someone else. Another common problem, a lot of folks that come to us, they were quick to delegate it to the cheapest or most familiar person that they knew could actually do bookkeeping. And they end up, kind of cutting corners and working with someone that just wasn't an expert in Amazon and e-commerce and inventory-based businesses. So just not having the right person in that seat can be a real challenge. And I think the last big problem is having poor processes in place. And usually that stems from the third issue. If you have the wrong person in the wrong seat, they tend to have the wrong process in place.
Yeah, all of that makes sense. So, what is one free, valuable action item that listeners, Amazon sellers can begin implementing that will help them with their bookkeeping today?
Yep. I think the valuable action I would suggest is to conduct what we call a MAP analysis, MAPP. So that was actually the four things I just mentioned: mindset, automation, people, and process. Not unlike a SWOT analysis for those who've been in business school. With a MAP analysis, you just analyze your mindset. Think about where you're at in that level, rank yourself out of 10, and maybe identify some bottlenecks in that area. Do the same thing with automation. Analyze automation, the tech stack. Do you have too much? What's not working? What is working? And then analyze the people aspect of this problem and the process. So a quick map analysis takes 10, 15 minutes. I think a lot of problems in this area of business just comes from inattention, just comes from being intimidated. So taking a little bit of time to dig down deep, will get you on the right path.
Yeah, and being intentional about the business that you want to create, you want to grow, and having the numbers to back it up. Because it's so easy to forget about these things and just assume it's being taken care of, the bookkeeper's handling it, or the automation is taking care of it, but really being intentional about it makes a lot of sense. So what's one free resource that you'd recommend for Amazon sellers to help solve all of these issues that come up with bookkeeping?
Yep. Great free resource. So we have a bookkeeping automation course where you go over our tech stack, the one that we use for all of our clients, how to set it up for yourself, how to run the processes. So kind of solving the automation problem and the process problem for folks. That's at museminded.com/get started free. And get started free, there's a dash between each of those words. So get-started-free. From there, I link straight to our two different courses. We used to sell those for $300. We give those away for free now.
That's awesome. So what's last question here? What's one question that I should have asked that would be great value to Amazon sellers, but I neglected to ask?
Well, this one's really specific, but I think one of the we get this a lot, but what's the most important report to run in your business? So if you want to make better decisions with data, what should I be looking for? And one of the things that we strongly recommend is an income statement, or some people call it profit and loss. And what you need to do is you need to start tracking all those line items as a percentage of revenue. So we call it a percentage of revenue, P&L, and you analyze month over month. And what that does is it allows you, inventory businesses are all about margins and how much margin are you keeping. And so if you can see at different levels of your business how much margin is leaving that business, and you're seeing that trend up and down month over month, it really helps you dial in to the specific areas of your business that you need to address to take it to the next level.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Jeremiah, and looking forward to hanging out with you again in the future.
Thanks, Alex. Cheers.